The King's Test. In a kingdom far away, there lived a man everyone called the village fool. Every day, the townspeople would gather at the square to laugh at him, but little did they know, the joke was actually on them. Even the king himself heard the stories and decided to test this man's legendary stupidity. But who was the real fool in the end? You see, every morning at the town square, a wealthy merchant would hold out 2 coins in his hands, a large, shiny copper coin in one hand and a tiny, thin gold coin in the other. He would look at the fool and say, "Pick whichever one you want, my friend." And every single time, without hesitation, the man would reach out and pick the large copper coin. The crowd would roar with laughter, pointing fingers and mocking his ignorance. They thought he was too dim to realize that the tiny gold coin was worth 10 times more than the big copper one. Word of this daily comedy finally reached the king. Curious and perhaps a little bored, the king summoned the man to the royal palace. To test him, the king placed a massive, beautifully polished silver plate and a small, delicate gold ring on a velvet table. "Pick one, and it is yours," the king commanded. Once again, the man chose the large silver plate. The king sighed, shook his head, and said, "My son, do you not understand? Gold is far more precious than silver. Why do you keep making the wrong choice? You could have been a wealthy man by now." At that moment, the man's posture changed. He looked the king in the eye, and his gaze was no longer vacant. It was sharp, wise, and incredibly intelligent. He reached into his deep pockets and pulled out hundreds of copper and silver coins he had collected over the years. He smiled at the king and said softly, "Your Majesty, I know the value of gold very well, but tell me, if I had picked the gold coin even once, would the game have continued? People only give me these coins because they want to prove how much smarter they are than me. By being their fool, I have become the richest man in the village without working a single day." The king sat back in his throne, completely speechless. He realized that the man wasn't a fool at all. He was a master of human nature. Sometimes, appearing weak is the ultimate strength. Stay jolly, and remember, never underestimate a man who stays silent while the world laughs.